to the Cinementalists. Noun, plural. Definition, those whose love for movies runs so deep, they can't help but do a podcast about them. Hosted by Colton Robertson and Joseph George. Hello everybody and welcome in to the Cinementalists and happy Halloween. Today we cap off a fun month of horror movies with Halloween. It was released on October 27th, 1978, written by Deborah Hill and John Carpenter, directed by John Carpenter. I am Colton Robertson. I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. And we are capping off a wonderful little series of horror flicks. We did Psycho, Night of the Living Dead, Evil Dead, The Exorcist, and we're capping it off with Halloween. We discovered over the course of this that we can kind of characterize these as the quote-unquote comfort horror movies because they're not particularly horrifying. They're not going to leave you, oh my God, I can't sleep tonight, you know?
Yeah.
And that's my favorite kind of horror movie. There was a reason I ended up picking these 5. You know, if you take down a list, if I were to make a list of my top 5 favorite horror movies, there's a really decent chance we land on the 5 that I picked here. How'd you feel about Halloween on this revisit?
Nice to finally get around to this classic and actually watch the movie instead of just... all I've known it in the past was for the piano, the theme song. I've known that. I was obsessed with it as a kid. And then just the actual suit. And then his just like the lore behind Michael Myers was more of like what we just talked about instead of like actually watching the movies as kids. So I just kind of knew the legend of him. So it was finally nice to get the whole movie and get how it actually all went down. And it's nice to know that the lore that we talked about as kids, that comes way, way later, I guess. I don't know, because a lot of it's just not really brought up here. But it's a classic, just slash. I don't know. I'd say as far as slashers go now, this has to be my favorite slasher movie there is. Michael Myers, just this... The boogeyman. He is just evil. We don't know how. We don't know who. You know, this dude is just, he was insane. Killed his sister. Is that who we killed at the very beginning? Yeah, just his sister at the beginning of the movie. And that gives him fucking, he's so insane that he can't die. Dude is just fucking...
Yeah, that's outstanding. I love that there is no, like, who knows? Yeah. He's indestructible. He can get shot 15 times and get up and walk away. Why? Who cares? Fuck it. I don't care.
The first stab in the neck, you know, and it's like, okay, someone goes down after a stab in the neck. You're like, oh yeah, they're dead, you know, and you can't blame them for thinking that they're dead. And then a stab in, I feel like the straight up gut or the straight up heart, nothing. Yeah, and then just tanked all these bullets. And they do, I don't know. There is this weird kind of thing that there's obviously, he's out there doing these killings, but every time someone sees him walking or something, it always can be like explained as like, oh no, you didn't see that. Or like there was nothing there. You're crazy. It's like, it's always like perfectly at the last second, I feel like, where one person will see it and then it's like, oh no, you're crazy. What are you talking about? And it felt like they were trying to play it like if he was even real at first. And I was like, is that where we're going? I'm like, is that the road we're going down?
He's the boogeyman, I'm like, dude. Yeah, that's what my favorite line is. You can't kill the boogeyman because it's just a perfect tagline, essentially, for the movie. And I love the portrayal of Michael Myers as almost feeling like a figment of imagination. The other thing is that it is Halloween, you know?
It is
somebody in a fucking mask walking around kind of being freaky. It's like
normal.
Yeah, it's like, all right, that is freaky, but like it is Halloween, so like maybe it's nothing. And that's I love obviously the musical cue. I love the Halloween theme. I love that it is always playing anytime he is anywhere.
Creeping.
Like if the song just starts playing and it's just like a normal scene, you become like, oh, he's somewhere and he's watching them, you know, like, and that's fucking awesome, you know, like that's it. And John Carpenter is so fucking talented. He is also the composer of the movie along with directing these. So he does that for all his movies. He does all the music for all his movies. And so like that theme is also John Carpenter original. The direction is John Carpenter. He is a thoroughly talented director, probably my favorite horror director of all time. And one of my favorites, period. But, God, I love the musical cue, whenever he's just lurking. I love the part whenever, Laurie and her friend pull up to the crime scene after they've just finished smoking, and the cop dad comes out and greets them, and Loomis walks up and is like talking to him, and then Michael Myers like drives by in the background in the car he stole from him. Like that's brilliant, you know.
That
like,
one was kind of funny. That one was like the only one where I got like a chuckle out of it.
This has a certain sense of humor at times that is, you know, at points supremely dark. But that one's pretty light. That one's just funny, you know, like, the other, the dark one is whenever he kills the boyfriend downstairs and pins him against the wall and then wears a sheet over his head and his glasses over it, and just stands in the doorway. That shit is so funny.
Oh my God. It's just so, like, awkward, just because like, it's so perfect to be the audience in this. Like, there's a lot of shots that are specifically for the audience, and it's just we're like just another kind of character along the ride, and I love how it is just they set the camera like across the street a lot of the times and just show the house, and like it's the same shot just kind of over and over, just showing that the house from that angle over and over, but then one time he's just fucking standing there, you know, he's just there, and and just seeing him pop up and all the different, or like that it's not even the main theme, it's like the bling, or kind of like this flare. I don't know what to call that. Yeah, whenever he's just something happened in the background or something, I don't know, and it's just very not jump scary, but it is on Halloween night.
It would have been at one point in my life quite jump scary. You know, like I this would have scared me as a kid, and it's probably why I didn't watch it until I think I watched it for the first time within the last couple of years. And there are moments that like can get my blood pumping, and did get my blood pumping the first time I watched it. But once you become familiar with the movie, just like any other horror movie, it's easy to stomach. But like, I'm a sucker for the character walking back and forth with a door in the background, and then one time they pass it, and then the person's there. I love that trope. I never tire of it. I always know it's coming. It's an obvious thing to do, but I always love it. You know, like I'm always digging it. And whenever she's outside in the like laundry, or wait, no, it's before she goes out there. It's when she's in the kitchen, walking past the door, still on the phone, about to go out there. I fucking love that part. Him lurking outside, knocking over the plant, being like, shit.
He does have this weird, like, intelligence to him, where, like, at some points, he's like, he knows exactly what to do to get this kill, or, like, do whatever, but then, like, that plant thing, it looks like he was just kind of like, oh shit, I don't know.
Yeah, like, the way he, like, suddenly backs up, he's like, oh, fuck. You know, like,
but the fake out of the closet, I don't know if he read this, the dude so well that he knew he was going to open the pantry first, or whatever that one closet was, and then turn around, you know? But, I don't know, that was pretty sick. This, one actual scare, I guess I thought he was going to come out of the first closet. I remember this visual of the being stabbed into the wall. This was one that I'm like, okay, I remember that, but I didn't remember. I guess out of the first door he opened, I'm like, oh shit, I guess it doesn't happen here. So I'm like, my guard went down, and then I'm like, oh fuck, you know, he is here. So that was kind of like
dude, one good scare for me, and probably, and again, I like when I can track it. I know we got a dark doorway, you know. He's the boogeyman. He's gonna slowly creep into the light out of that door, you know? But even so, it's so fucking good. It's my favorite shot of the movie when, and part of my favorite scene, whenever Laurie is walking through the house and discovers her friend's bodies, like the father or her sister's gravestone or her mother's gravestone. I can't remember. His sister's gravestone, I should say. On the bed next, and then finding her friends, and then backing up, crying against the door, and him just slowly coming into the light. I was like, oh, fuck yeah. Like, that is so clean. And there's so, like, it's extremely visually adept. Like, I love the way this movie looks. And that's kind of how I feel about John Carpenter's movies at large, is he's always had a surprisingly keen visual sensibility for how pulpy his movies can be. You know, it's just kind of, there's, I hesitate to call anything he does, like, groundbreakingly artful or anything, you know, like it's art because it's film, you are shooting it, but like he's not art house or anything, you know, like there's rarely
there's no Dutch angle,
it's rare, and it's rare that there's like something more going on, you know, like it's we know that this is what's happening in this movie. You're not trying to communicate anything else. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, with art, you can always project stuff onto it. But I feel like he's really good at making simple, good movies. You know what I'm saying?
And it played for Michael, like just the character of Michael as well. Just whenever he was creeping or just watching, like, and you heard the, like him breathing, kind of like Riddler kind of esque, like reminded. I don't know. And then the fog in the car, whenever he like comes out and like it felt like pretty clear Riddler inspiration. I haven't known that until now, but or maybe that's just actually a common, like if someone I guess is waiting in your car to kill you, it's gonna fog up the windows.
Yeah, but, I mean, there's actually a really interesting story. This is completely unrelated to the movie or anything, but my dad was watching a documentary a few weeks back, and I sat in for a couple minutes, caught a couple minutes, and it was about these guys who were like not idiots, but like they weren't geniuses, pulling off robbery after robbery, like fooling the FBI. Nobody knew what they were like, and the cutaways would be like, I don't know, we just wanted to rob this place, so we did, and then we like got away, you know, like and like they just kept. But there was one time whenever they realized that they were kind of onto them, so instead of doing a getaway, they parked a car across the street. They ran out of the bank and laid down in the car for hours. And they were concerned that they would get caught when they realized the windows started to fog up. But nobody noticed. Nobody noticed. And it's like they, instead of trying to drive away and get on a chase, the partner parked across the street and went into a bar and stayed there for a super long time and let his friend sit in the car out front. Like, that's, you know, like, that's not genius, but it's not dumb. You know, like, it's,
the genius is to not do what you think the genius thing is.
There
you know,
go.
You got to get them off your trail, and they're okay, but it feels like Mike kind of does stumble into just really good kills. Like, it's not like he is like super thinking about it. He is just so evil that it's just like, I know how to kill good enough for getting, I mean, most of the time homie just has a knife and he's just kind of playing with the person that he's walking around with.
He's like, I'm gonna get your ass, you know, like,
does he have like a thing against, like, is he just kind of prude? Like, is he just not like sex, you know, or like
I'm guessing there's something there. It's all pretty related to sexuality ultimately, until ultimately Lori is the one that he's trying to kill. But most of the movie, he's just kind of fucking with her specifically. He almost seems to never actually have the intention to kill her until the end of the movie.
Man, I there's so much lore that I'm forgetting. But like,
I'm like, I've never watched any other Halloween movie.
Because she's in them for quite a like, she's in all of them, right? Like, she's
a lot of them. I don't know that she's in all of them, but she's like, there was the reboot these last couple years. Like, she was in those. She was in the one that was in 1998 called H2O or something like that, because it was like Halloween's 20th anniversary. Like, nice.
Okay.
But there's like two more after this. I think before that, there's Halloween 2 and 3.
Do you know the lore for sure? Because I would just be taking like a guess.
I have no clue. I don't know anything about the franchise or Michael Myers beyond what this movie puts forth.
Man, I can't, because the gravestone just, like, because that's not Michael Myers' house, right? That's not, because his house is the old abandoned one that no one even lives in anymore. So he, like, what is the message it is all a show. Like this, it does seem like this is all
it's theatrical,
just to scare the fuck. Like, but then to say if that was his sister, there's no way. Like that sister was not old enough to have a kid. Where like
no.
That age doesn't really work.
No,
like I'm trying to think of like what the like if they're like.
I think
there's
that
a family,
the connection might be purely like obviously the 3 girls he targets in this movie are about the same age as his sister was.
Okay.
I think that there comes a point at the beginning of the movie where I think Michael intended to go up there and kill them both, but bro's 17, shit got done real quick up there. He came downstairs and left, and he had to like sneak back into the living room, retreat a little bit, because obviously he's not the invincible Michael Myers he becomes yet.
Okay, fair.
So my money is that there's some sort of. I mean, like, the other thing is that I don't think that there really is a justification at this point in the movie, or at this point in the franchise. It's more just he's insane. Now, why his target demographic is this, I'm sure it relates back to his first kill being his sister.
Okay. Because she did go up to the house. Like, she had a key, right?
Her dad's a realtor.
Ah.
And is selling the house.
Selling. Okay, so she was just placing the key under the mat.
Yeah.
That, okay. I just didn't, maybe the dialogue. I didn't hear the dialogue of her dad being a realtor or whatever then. Okay, that clears it up then.
Yeah, I think this was the 3rd time I've watched this movie, and like, the beginning of the movie, I realized I've never really locked in on. Like, I've never like gave a shit about like what the circumstances were.
Yeah.
Because like, I've watched this movie multiple times. This was the first time I even really realized she went up to the fucking house that he killed them in. I was like, oh, I didn't remember this at all.
That's why I thought maybe that's the motive. It's just like, she's connected to the house and that's all. It's just like,
I think that might be why he latches on to her. I don't think that there is much more of a reason than that. Like, he sees her and is like, I'm gonna follow you.
Like, yeah, he's like, I will stalk you from now on. And I guess, I mean, he escapes his mental hospital, like, right. So, but the doctor, like, he got out on his own accord, or this doctor was gone at the time that Michael got out, or like, I guess was it that the doctor let him go? Because I feel like the sheriff, like, later on was like, a shame of you to let him go, or something like that.
Oh, he like, not literally let him go, like let him fall out of your grasp, you know, like because he wasn't the only one who got out. There like whenever they pulled up, like a bunch of patients were walking around on the yard, and they were like, "What the fuck's going on?" Pull up to the gate. Michael Myers just happens to be the one who takes advantage of it.
Okay, that's true. Homie can drive, I guess. Yeah, that was not to be believed before.
I also love that he's like, he can't go anywhere. It's 200 miles before he gets back there. That's 2 hours. Like, that's not. You drive 200 miles, or I think he says 150 actually. 150 miles. You drive 150 miles down I-70. You're getting a little past Columbia. Yeah, you know, like
I'd say even on the tank of gas in 78, wherever we're in. I mean, you're
good. You're
like,
chilling.
I mean, and when he needed a new car, I mean, he just had to kill another person, you know, or whatever. Easy. Michael, yeah, his life is pretty easy. He just does what he wants to do. But man, yeah, it is. I love just the mystery of horror. Like, it is better to not have an explanation of why he's invincible, of why, like, almost whenever he leaned over the balcony to check if he's there, I'm like, oh, he's 100. Like,
He's gone.
I knew he wasn't going to be there. It's not that, like, the movie, you can kind of track where the movie's kind of going the whole time, but it almost kind of makes it better. You're wanting just to see how it, like, plays out, how it unravels.
And I think that's the power of, frankly, John Carpenter's filmmaking. You know, like a couple of a wonderful little Easter egg that probably wasn't an Easter egg at the time and has become an Easter egg is that the movie the kids are watching all night is The Thing from Another World. John Carpenter, one of his next movies was The Thing, a remake of that movie. So, like, it's clear he loved that movie and was like, I want to put that in my movie. And then was like, wait, I want to remake that movie. Can I remake that movie? You know, like, and so I love The Thing. In the Mouth of Madness, if you want, like, actually scary Carpenter movie, In the Mouth of Madness, whew, that'll get you. That's a goodie one. That's, there's a shot in that one that, like, I don't know why, but you know, like, the skin crawling, like, slow goosebumps that just kind of, like, over, like, I get those.
Ooh, those are what I chase.
Yeah, that's the good shit. And In the Mouth of Madness has a couple of those. But,
yeah, I need to.
Yeah, no,
I need to get
he's
some.
Got a great filmography, man.
The comfort horror has been very nice because I think I would have said that I liked the other horror kind of more. I guess I don't know. I've just gotten this comfort stretch. Maybe I'll go back to the other horror and I'll still like it all. But this has been a very nice awakening kind of moment to realize it doesn't need to be purely scary. Like this comfort vein adds a little bit to it. Like it is still scary and it does get your heart to go, especially like at the end whenever like finding all of her friends dead, like on the run, just waking up multiple times. Like, I mean, it's like,
well, and I appreciate how fast the movie plays at 90 minutes. It flies by you and it's a quick movie. I love how much of a slow burn it actually is. Like the first kills don't really happen until more than halfway through the movie. As far as like the characters we've known, obviously he kills a couple people and we discover that, but like, the first kill in the car, that's not until I think 45, 50 minutes into the movie. Like that's, it's pretty deep. I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure.
But it does feel like it. Like it just feels like they were going on their normal days, going to school, and then like the little kid, you know, gets bullied, like boogeyman, boogeyman, boogeyman. You know, it felt like maybe that's the John Carpenter like plug-in. Like it feels like maybe he got bullied as a kid and got scared of the boogeyman forever, so now he's finally making his boogeyman movie. But
I feel so bad for that fucking kid when he falls on top of the pumpkin and it shatters. I'm like, bro. Whenever Michael Myers catches one of the kids who bullied him, like, do it, you know, like, fucking get it, you know, like,
kid. Kill the kid. That's all it,
and that's interesting, you know. I think there might be something to the idea that the kid was the same age as he was whenever he went away, you know, so, like, there is, like, he doesn't kill kids, which is interesting, at least not young kids.
Yeah, he could, because he was really only after Laurie the whole time. He wasn't after, because they were in there, and Laurie was doing what she could to kind of draw him away, I guess.
Yeah.
But like it never.
I mean, and you wouldn't go like, kids, you're safe, don't worry about it. You know, like I don't think they're ever actually in danger, though. I don't think Michael Myers would kill the kids. And maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe people who have watched the other movies are like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm just going solely based off this movie.
Yeah, maybe he like just kills so many kids in the next. I have no clue.
I have no idea. But like that's just the impression this movie gets me. It's also, you know, they're in broad daylight. Maybe it's just a choice that's like to protect himself. He won't kill the kid right outside the school.
But Halloween, I mean, it is. Thinking about it, probably the only day of the year you could walk around with that big of a knife and someone will just be like, well, you're obviously not a murderer. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, well, obviously you're not here to murder me. And maybe I'm not going to think about Halloween differently. It's not even like Halloween's really the same. I feel like, I don't know, people don't really go out as much anymore. It's kind of sad on Halloween now. I wish we kind of could go back to these glory days of just running outside.
Irresponsibility.
Yeah, it was so much fun. But I guess we'll have to see. There was a few COVID Halloween, so that threw a wrench into things. Maybe we're getting back.
We're getting back to the resurgence, I think. But no, I mean, even last year, I was like, there's nobody out. You know, like it was like, man.
Yeah. I guess I've gotten to the age where it's like I want to see like how creative like costumes can get now. Like what can we do now that I don't know, I feel like costumes are
let's push the line forward, you know.
We could be on a whole new level compared to where we were as kids. But yeah, no, this will become I at least want to get more of the franchise in now, just to actually get this like the lore and whatever from my childhood like crystallized, and,
right.
And so all this can come full circle. But at least for the first one, it was what I was expecting, just boogeyman slasher movie. And me personally, I guess I wanted more lore to come from it just to answer these childhood questions, but like in no way was it needed for the movie at all.
Yeah,
if anything,
like, it's clear this movie was not originally intended to be more than this movie, you know? Like, they leave the possibility there because he makes it out, but I think the other thing about that is if it had just been one and only, it's still a good ending to the movie. It's like you can't defeat this guy, you know, like, and I think that's and I love the last, like the music builds and they show all the different locations, which is kind of the first time they break the whole wherever Michael Myers is, but then it's like, are they breaking it, or is it like he's everywhere? He's all over the place, you know. Like I love the ending.
That's a good read, because I guess it felt just kind of like a recap. I'm like, are they just recapping where he's been? But that I like that much more, of that he is just kind of omnipresent, sort of that he is everywhere, because he does. He's very. I don't know if he's really fast or if the dude can teleport. But yeah, no, I love how he's just behind a bush at one point, gone, or outside of the house, gone completely when he needs to be. Dude's just a ninja in the night. But yeah, the first shot that got me visually was the one that you said, him coming out of the shadows.
Yeah, that's hard.
And I opened the sheet, and then I saw that it was in there, and I'm like, okay, valid, fair enough. And then literally like 2 or 5 minutes later in the sequence, whenever she kills him after the closet, and he's laying on the ground, and she's like taking a breather out on like the steps in the hallway, and then he gets up. He does like the
Undertaker,
the whole Undertaker shit. So yeah, that was my second potential for shot there. But
I'm gonna give you a chance to guess.
Okay.
How many movies do you think are in the Halloween franchise?
Okay. Halloween, I think up to like a 3, I feel like, and then they apparently the reboot, and H2O, 6.
13.
Okay, I'll just double it and add one more. That's okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Holy...
No, so there was the original trilogy, but that wasn't it. There was actually 3 more movies after that. It was originally what would that be?
3, like another trilogy?
Like 4, 5, and 6. So you had Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, Halloween H2O 20 years later, Halloween Resurrection, and then a reboot by Rob Zombie, Halloween, and Halloween 2, and then another reboot with Halloween, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends. And those are all within the last 6 years. Those last 3.
Holy shit. They're milking the bag here.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure A24 just acquired the rights to a television adaptation of Halloween in some capacity, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow. I guess, fuck. If people seem to like it, I mean, is it like the Fast and Furious, where it's like they've really just gone off the rails now at this point, or like
I'm assuming
at 13, you know, I mean,
you kind of have no option other than to go off the rails. However, I think the Rob Zombie, like 2 in the middle, are like a different continuity. I don't think it's like the same Halloween. Maybe it is. I might be misreading that. But I don't think those feature Jamie Lee Curtis.
Wow, yeah, I was like, maybe I'm gonna go into the franchise, get some more lore. I had no idea that there was this much waiting for me.
There's 13 Halloween movies.
There's some other franchises I'll get to first, I think. In the
you
meantime,
could slowly chip away at it,
yeah.
like throw on a Halloween movie every once in a while.
I got a Halloween movie for the next 13 years. I'll just get one every Halloween, and I'll slowly chip away.
I'll be done by 2037.
Yeah, oh god, how old will I be? That's a scary thought. Yeah, I'll like 40 almost. Not really, but like high 30s by the time I finish the Halloween franchise. That's
right.
Or high 30s.
God.
Yeah, no,
God.
It's not
I don't
okay,
like thinking about that. Yeah, no, fuck that.
But okay, glad to finally just get the classic, the one I feel like that is necessary watch of the franchise.
I would assume this is the only required viewing in the 13 films.
So I think we got it good. But I mean, hats off to to just Michael Myers. Another performance I feel like similar to Batman, where like if I step in that suit and I'm just like 5'7" walking around with a knife, it just doesn't work. You can't have a 5'7" Batman.
Yeah.
You need a dude that is just that can pick another dude up and stab him against the wall. That's what you need, and it was perfect. And I wonder if like the breathing, if that's done in just a studio, if they get that, or if like they actually got like his legit mask breathing.
That's interesting. Yeah, I went with Tony Moran as Michael Myers for my performance. The physicality is just really, really impressive. Obviously, it's not super demanding, but there's a simplicity to it that I think could have been overdone. Like it could have been not compelling, but there's a certain chilling factor to the way he plays it that I think is really, really impressive.
The one hand choke, he never, like, every single time you see someone strangle a human, it's always two hands. This dude is just one hand gripped on and done. It's like
you're like,
he's like toying with his food, and you're I guess he could have overdone it, but he did it in a way where it's like showing his like true
his ability.
Nothingness.
It's
evil. Like effortless.
Yeah. It's really strong. I love the performance of Michael Myers in this movie. I think that even whenever he is disoriented, whenever he does get stabbed or he does get shot, like there's a certain, like when he does display vulnerability, even in flashes, even that's really good physical performance, whenever he does get stabbed in the neck and he's like, and he like falls backwards, like that's
punching through the closet. I mean, having to do all that stuff. Even the Undertaker thing, that's a core workout, right? I mean, that's not easy to pop up that fast. That's dude is. I didn't think of the actual physicality needed behind it, because he is just kind of slow and creepy, and not necessarily like a action. We don't see much action other than the kill,
right?
But man, I liked the detective, or the doctor, Loomis. I liked his just the little inputs he'd give of just like, Sheriff, you don't understand what's coming to your town. He felt like I always don't know if it's Night of the Living Dead or Evil Dead. Whenever they play the recording and it wakes up everybody.
Evil Dead.
The record, like the classic kind of voice that's thrown in. He kind of felt like the
Psycho had the whole one at the end where he was like, and you see, this is what's going on here. Y'all don't know what's going on, but I'm going to explain everything thoroughly so you can't miss a beat.
Yes. Loomis was at least this movie's like maybe it is the line of him just being like death has walked into your town. I think it's something along those lines of
right.
I feel like I got to get the verbiage because it is. Death has come into your little town, Sheriff. I know he felt like he was, even though he knew he kind of fucked up by letting him go. He felt like he had this weird kind of attachment a little bit. Like, I don't know, maybe he was just stalking the house waiting for Michael to come back. Those kids come around and he gives them a little scare.
He scares them.
And it's Halloween, he's like, yeah, whatever. But like,
well, there's a little bit of a sicko mode in there. I feel like there's something deeper going on there where it's almost like, I don't know. Like I agree with the idea that there's a certain obsession almost with Michael. Like it's not and obviously something like this happens. It's your fault if anything happens. You let him go. You let him escape. You know, like you do get intense about it.
It's fair.
But there's almost a titillation. It feels like he's getting out of it. That's like, What are you here for, man? And that's why, like, I really like Donald Pleasance a lot in the role of Loomis. I think he's really, really good. I think it's a really, really simple role. I don't think he has to do a lot of heavy lifting, and that's kind of how I feel about most of the roles in the movie, or actually all the roles in the movie. I'm personally not a fan of Jamie Lee Curtis, so like, she's fine, you know, and she's solid as the final girl. That's a classic. You know, I love the horror movie trope of the final girl. That's one of my favorites. Bruce Campbell's the all-time great final girl.
Bruce Campbell. Oh yeah, the all-time goat. But
the all-time goat.
At least it's a younger Jamie Lee Curtis. You know, the true like disconnect I have is the Everywhere All at Once era. So it's kind of, at least there was somewhat of a disconnect. But yeah, no, it is still just sort of weird.
Well, and that's what's interesting is she's almost got like a vibe that transcends time, like. When she spoke, I was like, "You sound the same." Like it's impressive that you 50 years on almost. You almost sound the exact same as you did in 1978.
I didn't think about the sound. Yeah, I was just the look where obviously she's younger, but her voice is
has not changed. It's kind of in a like a creepy capacity almost. Like you don't sound a day older, which is interesting. It's not a bad thing, obviously. I have whole other separate beefs with Jamie Lee Curtis, but I think that she does a fine job. You know, I think her and John Carpenter are pretty. They link up a couple times. I think she's the lead in The Fog, another John Carpenter movie. You know,
that's his big ones, I guess. The Fog, Dark Star, and Escape from New York, or at least his top 4. But it looks like Escape from New York, he was just the music department.
He directed that.
Okay,
he directed
cool.
that. He directed Escape from New York. I think he directed Escape from L.A. He's got a good little filmography on him.
Yeah, dude likes horror.
Yeah, I'm like, I love They Live. They Live is one of my favorites of all time. The Thing, one of my favorites of all time. Assault on Precinct 13, a fucking great movie. He's got a Jeff Bridges and Karen Allen movie, Marion Ravenwood, and it's called Starman. Jeff Bridges plays an alien. Yeah.
What? That's my username on the video games, like just my video game username.
Yeah, I think you'd probably dig that movie.
Man, I need it. Tron in another movie called Starman. Yeah, okay, it's a cool connection. I'll get around, but no, John Carpenter. I don't know. It is a weird kind of vein because there isn't anything truly like that stands out that like I can like say like, oh, Wes does this, and I can clearly say that it's Wes or Scorsese, but it is just kind of like like the camera. He sets it in, it's still for a long time, and it just gives you that eerie, like it is eerie in just it being still and looking in the background, and sometimes nothing pops up. I mean, sometimes you think something's going to pop up, but there is nothing.
It's that anticipation, you know. That's Jordan Peele, Hitchcock. They've all talked about how it's scarier to think about what's behind the door than seeing what's behind the door. And I think that's really strong.
Because he's writing and doing the music, this is like really his creation.
It's his production.
I feel like that's just a little different compared to, well, I guess like Raimi, like that was really really his production there. I mean, so there's you can really feel the different taste,
personality. Yeah, no, and it's extremely extremely prescient and influential on horror at large. You know. I'd argue there's no Scream without Halloween.
Oh yeah,
you know, I think
even he does. Does he fuck with the phones? Does he call her? You know, because
you know, you hear the heavy breathing and then the chewing, and you know, and obviously her friend's like, "It was me, I was chewing," but like you're like, Was it? You know, there's just enough of that to be like, yeah, they're fucking with the. I think Scream is obviously deeply influenced by this. I think a lot of '90s, like late '90s, early aughts horror is pretty. It admires this, you know, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, like this sort of era of horror is kind of revered about 15 years on. And I don't know, maybe I'm misplacing Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th time-wise.
I wonder when
Friday the 13th was 2 years later.
Nightmare on Elm Street, 94. Is that
Nightmare on Elm Street
really?
Was that late?
Oh, 80. Okay, never mind.
84.
Okay,
84.
yeah, that's maybe a remake, I guess, or something. Maybe.
Well, and that was Wes Craven directed A Nightmare on Elm Street, who also did Scream.
Okay.
So there's that connection.
They got a lot of those. Yeah, there's a lot of those Nightmare on Elm. I mean, there was the sheer number. I just maybe like a Halloween. I don't know who wins there if they have 13 or not, but man, yeah, this classic horror vein though, it's been fun to get this a little bit back, not as far back as I thought. Just the movies took place in a classic, or they embodied that classic era of the time. But to get way older movies that I would have never watched anyways, this is so much older than I ever would have watched before. And
for horror movies, yeah.
Yes, or even in general, really, for movies. This is...
Yeah, I mean, our newest movie was 81, and that's 40 years old for this project.
Yeah.
We're sticking with the oldies for the most part until indie, and that's fun. But yeah, no, I've enjoyed this a great deal, and frankly, next October, I'm hoping to throw it back even further. Maybe get some of those Universal horror, Dracula, Frankenstein, Mummy. Get some of those 30s classics in, because I love those too. So that's what we got to look forward to next Halloween season. But yeah, no, I had a great time doing this little project. I think that I'm just glad I've grown to a point where I can finally watch horror. I used to be too afraid, frankly, to watch horror until just I think it was a couple years ago. I was like, you know what? You're gonna tough it the fuck out, buddy. Go ahead and start watching horror movies. There are good horror movies. They're out there. Find them. Yeah. And I'm glad I have.
Good vein here. Good vein to start with the comfort here. But yeah, Now I kind of have this horror movie chase for an adrenaline rush, or just the closest I can get to it. So I love that kind of thing. It's like a roller coaster. A roller coaster, you might die. I guess there is a chance that it could go wrong.
There is a slight chance. Yeah.
A horror movie, you're gonna be good. You could have a heart attack if it's truly that scary, but it's not gonna happen. And that's why I loved them as a kid. Is just we always have
speaking of that, like when I went and saw Longlegs, I think was the first horror movie I've seen in theaters. I mean, like I've seen the Purge movie. I've seen a couple Purge movies.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. Maybe a couple more, but like Longlegs was the first one I went into where the marketing was like, people vomited. People got sick. People were, like somebody was concerned they were having a heart attack. Somebody passed out and had to be escorted away by ambulance. Like that sort of thing. I was like, all right, let's see. Let's check it out. Wow, did they oversell that? They oversold the shit out of it. And marketing's important. And it was still freaky. Like it's still eerie and that gives me the creepy crawlies, but it's not even the same kind of scary as a lot of other stuff.
I mean, the sell is you don't have a heart attack or no one in your theater throws up or has those reactions. I mean, it's like, yeah, they're putting it up to the absolute highest scale there.
Right. And the thing is I also I didn't want to get sick. I didn't want to have a heart attack. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I'm glad it wasn't that. But like, it's funny to like frame a movie as that, as being like, you're gonna want to see that, huh?
Are you actively seeking to cardiac arrest yourself in the movie theater today? Head out to Long Legs. Yeah, it's maybe not something I'd really want, but maybe you throw up. That's the maximum line I'm thinking. You know, if like The Exorcist, where it's like nasty enough to where it's just gross and like it might make you feel nauseous, whatever. That's a horror thing, but to be like, well, and you might die.
There's also a really cool psychological thing where if you go in thinking this movie's going to make me sick to my stomach, you feel sick to your stomach a little bit. Like, I did at the beginning of the movie. I was nervous.
Wow.
You know, like it was a cool psychological thing. But then like, for that feeling to actively go away as the movie went on is like, you know,
more telling.
Maybe, you know, exactly. It's like, I don't, this is turned into a little mini Long Legs review, but, you know, it didn't, the people who are like, this wasn't scary are annoying. It's freaky, you know, it's creepy. I don't know what people define scary as. This Halloween is scary, you know, like it's, obviously not like, oh my God, my heart is racing, I feel like I'm going to die scary, but it's scary, you know, like it's a scary movie. That's
It's so scary, like, is so weird for every other person.
It's incredibly subjective. Yeah.
The Exorcist can be the scariest movie to someone. Halloween could be, or even Nope. I don't know. Like, people just find horror in anything. And like The Conjuring or like like those kind of movies, like,
I don't fuck with that.
That is, I don't know. Those are just pure jump scares as well. They
I don't like jump scare movies, man. Like
you.
That's and see, that's the stuff that I find. That's the stuff that makes me. And I mean, obviously, I'm jumping. That's what gets my heart rate going, you know. But the other thing is that I don't like that type of scary. I like the type of scary that gives me dread. Yeah. I like the type of scary that gives me goosebumps. I don't like the type of scary that makes me grip the sides of my chair and be like, that's not fun. That's not fun.
It's the writing, it's the music, it's the slow burn of this that's giving me the and
that's
heart racing.
And that's why Halloween's fun. That's why Cure is one of my favorite horror movies. You know, like that's a perfect. It's a perfect horror movie, you know, like, and there will be people who are like, is that really a horror movie? And like, yeah, like that's the kind of horror movie I like to talk about though. It's like the kind that's like, like it's an incredibly subjective genre for everybody. Everybody has a different definition, but, I think it's a lot more all encompassing than people want to give it credit for.
Kind of like a comedy. In a sense, where like it can be very dark and but also very light and childish, and you just all different forms. But I guess fear comes in different ways as well.
Yeah,
this is obviously a lot more classical horror what we're dealing with here. But in a movie like here, there's no other category that I'd throw, like that's the kind of biggest umbrella that I could throw it under. Is it does invoke fear. It invokes scare. Like those are the emotions they're going for.
It's not high octane enough to be a thriller, you know? It's not like you're not like, oh my God, what's about to happen? What's like, you're not like, what's going on? You know, like it's more psychological horror than anything else. And that's cool. That's good shit, you know? So like, I don't know. I'm a big fan of the umbrella of horror has a lot of good stuff underneath it. I think it's a lot broader than a lot of people want to give it credit for. And scary is incredibly subjective. So like, I get so annoyed whenever I see people online like, this is what scared you. It's like, if you're posting like that at 20 something or 30 something, grow the fuck up.
Like a toilet used to scare me as a kid because it was so loud. I'd have to flush it and run, you know. But like now that I'm just in a,
I used to whenever I lived in my old house, I had a really tall set of stairs from the basement to the upstairs. I'd flick the light and bolt up those fucking stairs, man. You know what I'm saying?
Someone was going to get you. Someone was down there, you know.
Yeah.
If you didn't run fast enough, they'd grab your leg and pull you back down the steps.
And at night when I'm high as fuck and I get up and go to the bathroom and my basement is pitch black and I'm retreating to my room, I'm going like this I'm not running, but I'm going.
Yeah. Yes. Why?
You know, I'm keeping my head on a fucking swivel. You know,
I'm home alone. I know there's no one in my house, but I need to check every single room.
But because you know there's no one else in the house, you're less secure.
Michael Myers could be there. He could be checked. I needed to close I would close my blinds like at night, and if it was night, I just felt like I was being watched. For what reason? Just because I'm alone? Like it's just these thoughts that are
always been
creeping in.
This is so funny because I'm not actually afraid of it. And now I know for a fact it isn't true. And I've known this for years.
Okay.
But it has always stuck with me ever since I was in elementary school. And one of my classmates told me that if you look out your window at night, there's gonna be somebody there. And
why are we so ruthless as kids, man?
Always stuck with me, man. Like that's my thing is that and now obviously I know that's not true, but this was 15 fucking years ago, 16, 17 years ago. I remember that vividly. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember we were in the computer lab. We had just finished an SRI test. I know exactly when he told me that. You know what I'm saying? That's like the kind of formative scaries that obviously freak you out. That's why whenever it is somebody walks past a window and there's somebody in the window, that's why that shit gets me going because I know exactly where that rooted fear comes from, you know,
maybe that is why this is a little more scarier than like zombies or whatever. Cause at the end of the day, I'm just like, well, zombies, if they're here, then I have to worry about them. But until that day, I'm good. But someone outside of my window with a knife, that's very real.
That's not impossible. That's why the more likely something is, or the more likely something seems, might be the more accurate. Like Cure, again to connect it to that. Not exactly something I'm worried about happening, but that movie makes it feel like it very much so can happen. And that's good shit, you know? And that's the stuff that gets me going, is the stuff that's oh, this is a little too real. I don't know, you know, and that's the good shit. I like that. But yeah, so scary is different for everybody, you know, that's why stuff like this works for me. But, yeah, man, I love a zombie movie. I love a demon movie because, you know, maybe I'll get fucked over and it'll come to bite me in the ass, but I don't buy it. You know what I'm saying?
Let's hope so. You know, let's really hope so that it isn't all real, or we just won't get there, because maybe at least we have these movies so we know a little bit more what to do. We have the survival guide, kind of. We need to put it all together. But
I'll tell you what, if Michael Myers is ever around, I get it. You got people to protect. You got to go home, get the kids out. Bolt, this motherfucker walks everywhere. I know that's a classic, that's not what the movie's for, and I agree. It's she shouldn't run away. The movie becomes stupider then. But if this is real life, I'm fucking going. I'm running for as long as I've ever ran. You know?
That is fair. She did run across the street back into a house where Michael saw her run into the house with kids in that, very, the movie has to go somewhere, so obviously we are there, but it is always funny of if a horror movie were made today, I feel like they have to kind of think of those things now, that's kind of played into horror movies now, unless they take themselves very seriously, but I feel like it's kind of like a meta joke of hell no, we're not checking that creepy ass basement.
Yeah, exactly. It's self-referential and no, and I mean that's what the genre is kind of. Horror comedies work a lot better for that reason, kind of playing into it, kind of being Ready or Not is a really good horror or action horror semi-comedy. It's got funny moments. I don't know if you've ever watched that. You should though. That's a fun fucking movie.
The only funny ones are Scary Movie, I think, and I haven't even really seen them,
but see, even those I would label more comedy than I would horror comedy. There's parody.
Oh, just straight. Yeah, I guess that's fair.
When it comes to the horror, like I'm trying to think of another good horror comedy, and I'm totally coming up empty right now aside from Ready or Not, but that's a wonderful genre. I love the idea of blending the
Menu
scary
is put up there as a horror comedy. That's kind of interesting.
I can see that. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is kind of the Lisa Frankenstein, Jennifer's Body, you know.
American Psycho. Interesting. Yeah, it's that's funny. Oh,
Spree from a couple years ago, starring Joe Keery. That's a fun movie. It's stupid, and it's a guy who's live streaming. He's trying to get famous on the internet, and he gets so obsessed that like he's like, "What if I start killing people? Then people will watch me." You know, like and he's scary because he's funny. You know, like he's not like actually funny, but you're like, oh God, you know, like you're insane. You know, like you have lost your fucking mind. That's a fun movie though. If you ever get a chance, Spree is also very fun.
Okay, man, I need to just get in the habit of having Letterboxd open and then just pushing the watch list button.
Watch list,
yeah. I need to really get in that habit. But okay.
Yeah, I'll send you the list I've mentioned so far this episode when we get off. But
wow, yes, good old Steve Harrington. I hate that. Stop calling him Steve Harrington. I legitimately like feel like that is his name.
Well, and that's actually what's even worse too is that like he's expressly been like, please don't call me Steve Harrington.
I know. It's so it's just what I first knew him at, you know.
I know, it's a really iconic it's a really good look for him, and I fell in love with him as that character. So like it's hard to separate him from that. He makes some good fucking music too.
Yes.
That dude's a talented artist.
But
and when I'm back in Chicago, I feel it.
Joe or D-Joe?
D-Joe.
D-Joe. Okay. I think.
Yeah.
I feel like we've been through that maybe one time, but I always forget. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, D-Joe. Or sorry.
Joe Keery.
Did not mean to call you Steve Harrington, but
yeah.
But
regardless,
I'll check out. Spree for you.
Spree.
So,
yeah, that's fun. That's a fun fucking movie. And like I said, dumb as hell, but super fun. Very good modern horror comedy, you know. I like when things aren't afraid to be dated. You know, like one day Spree will be dated. You know, like it's from it's very specific to this time in history, but I think that's fun. You know, like I like when things feel like time capsules. Like modernly, Glass Onion will feel that way, and you know, there's a few other 20s movies that I feel like are going to one day be like, wow, that is a 20s movie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that is a, and I think
that's a good example there. Wow. Yeah. Just a movie made maybe it feels a little more personal, a little better. It's like, you know, that's all they were going for. They're not going
especially
for
if it's our time, you know, like, and I like things that like, there's not much that dates this movie, you know, which I think is interesting. You know, a lot of things would have been easier if we had cell phones. You know, there's a lot more that you can get away with. The landlines are cut. The phones aren't working. So it's like, oh no, what are we going to do? But, like, that's really the only thing about the movie that's dated, really, is that there's landlines.
Yeah. And cell
beyond
phones,
that, it's pretty.
Could have a riding around that as well, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's Michael Myers, but he's got a little tech know-how. He's got
an EMP, you know, like
everywhere he goes. No phones, but yeah,
exactly.
You're right. There isn't. It's not like, I mean, the cars are like for the time, whatever.
Right,
but like that is just in the.
That's going to happen with every era. Is that there's always going to be cars where you're like, wow, that car came from that era. You know.
Man, I wonder. Not many just this neighborhood. You know that they shot in.
You know, they had the field at the beginning but like it's really dark. That could have been in the fucking neighborhood for all we fucking know. You know what I'm saying? Like
the budget for this,
probably not super high.
300,000, I guess.
God damn.
So around 1.4 million in today's money. But wow,
that's insane.
That's pretty.
That's insane.
What wasn't Sam Raimi's like 100. How much did he make?
The 350.
Yeah, so that's. But that what year was that?
81. It was after this.
So they made this for less?
Mm-hmm.
That's wow. That's kind of nuts. I wonder if it was was it a big I'm assuming it was a big success for
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was a pretty big fucking deal.
$70 million. Holy okay. Grossed 47 million in the United States, 23 million internationally, making it 70 million. I thought that was like in today's money. No, that's insane. Wow, holy shit. Yeah, they got the bag.
They got the bag.
They
John
did well.
Carpenter got free reign for the most part after this.
Yeah.
He did have to do another one for them. At least one other one for them. He kind of regards the movie Christine as a one for them. Which I believe was 83, so it was after The Thing.
Okay. But he likes The Thing. The Thing he's proud of.
Oh, and he should be. That movie is fucking astonishing.
Have I?
Like that's
have I seen that?
You might have watched the 2011 prequel film with Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Tormund Giantsbane.
Yeah, I don't. I think I'm remember. Is this? Does there like a little something that comes out of someone's stomach or is that a different?
That's Alien.
Okay, maybe I'm confusing.
But there's something similar in The Thing.
This, I mean, it would have been long ago.
No, I mean, like,
it's distant.
You should revisit The Thing, though. Like, that movie is fucking awesome.
Oh, Kurt Russell? Okay, yeah, I feel like...
Kurt Russell is John Carpenter's, like, Martin Scorsese, Bob De Niro. Kurt Russell is John Carpenter's. He's in The Thing, Escape from New York, Escape from L.A.
Okay.
He's in, Big Trouble in Little China. Let's see. I'm pretty sure he's in a few others, but yeah, they're frequent collaborators. One of my favorite John Carpenter movies is They Live. I brought this up a couple times. The one where Roddy Piper finds the glasses and it shows him the world for what it really is.
Yeah, that one was cool. I remember you telling me about that.
That's a good fucking movie. Yeah, no, John Carpenter's got a deep bag, a lot of fun fucking movies. Strongly recommend him. His filmography at large is so much fun. And he's such a talented composer, too. Assault on Precinct 13 might have my favorite John Carpenter score, which is kind of insane when he has such iconic scores as this.
How common is that across Hollywood?
Not super.
Yeah, like I don't feel like I've ever... Like, I can't even name another one. Like
I can't off the top of my head either.
Director, composer, writer?
David Lynch collaborates with his composer pretty heavily, but he has a composer. It's still a separate person. It's Angelo Badalamenti is David Lynch's composer, and they kind of work together in a lot of capacities to create their scores. But
Wow.
Yeah, John Carpenter is he does it. That's his thing. I don't know if he's done it for every single one of his movies, but I know he's done it for most of his movies, which is pretty fucking cool.
Wow. Yeah, that's a rare talent, or just a rare bunch of talents thrown into one. So, but it works. It works for whenever you can craft exactly something like this and have all the handles on everything. So, I mean, created quite the, what is it with the Johns? The John Carpenter, the John Williams, they know how to create some iconic scores. I don't know. They maybe just got the music jazz, but yeah, it's been one of the only songs I've known how to play on the piano for just forever. And I feel like now when I'm home alone,
yeah, it's a classic, man. I remember we were at my girlfriend's sister's place this past Halloween. We were painting pumpkins, and we were just hanging out. It's her sister's birthday is right around Halloween, so it's just perfect time of the year to go visit. And they were like, "What's a good movie to throw?" I'm like, movie guy. Whenever we go down, what's the movie we're going to watch while we're doing this? And I was like, "Well, we got to throw on Halloween," you know. I turned it on, and the music starts playing straight from the get-go, and they're all like, "That's what this song is from?" You know, that's it's the song transcends the movie
you already
even,
know it.
and like that's a strong. Like, there's not many things that do that, you know. Like Star Wars, like all of the other ones I can think of are John Williams.
Mm-hmm.
If you got a theme that goes right up there, like Jaws, Jurassic Park, Star Wars, Halloween, probably not far behind those in terms of recognizability, which is kind of insane.
Thinking about it, it's really high up there. Like, as far as horror themes, I don't know if there's
not a single other one I can think of
even
that
close.
would come close.
Yeah, like, damn.
I mean, Jaws, if you count it as horror, but like,
true, pretty iconic. Yeah, that one hard to beat. Hard to beat Jaws.
Yeah.
But oh man, I didn't really think of, like, it is like a Star Wars where you kind of know Darth Vader's his father before you even watch the movies. If you're born later and late enough, and it's just you kind of know who Michael Myers is. You know the theme. You know Halloween before you even jump in. And I mean, I knew it all.
Used to confuse the shit out of me that there was like a famous guy named Michael Myers and also a horror villain named Michael Myers. I was like, so are they like the same fucking guy? Does he play Michael Myers? They're like, no, actually, it's a different Michael
Just
Myers.
Completely.
I'm like,
no
that's
relation.
so he's just the Cat in the Hat. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like Shrek also. He's got a
Shrek.
Yeah.
Wow, I've never thought of the human behind Shrek before.
The love guru. Yeah, he's done a lot. Austin Powers, pretty
that's
iconic
true.
there.
That's true. Yeah, that's wow. In the nighttime. No, that's his Batman. This is alter ego. He goes in nighttime. He becomes Michael Myers. But yeah, no, it's just no relation, I guess. Yeah, I always kind of I never thought of who the actor is until now.
Yeah.
But like actually in the suit of Michael Myers, I guess we never really see his face other than a split second.
Brief. Yeah, he's got some scarring going on,
which was interesting, but no more.
Well, now I'm like, is the lore that they were like torturing him a bit in the hospital? Like, is that like something that they do? And he's kind of lashing out at the world a bit, you know? Like, is there a reason Donald Pleasence feels more guilty than you know? I think that there could be something there. Experimentation maybe augments his body to a degree. It could be interesting. I don't know. I don't know anything about the franchise, so
that's
yeah,
true.
no, but,
I'd be grasping at straws, but
yeah.
Okay, yeah, little lupus. That didn't feel right. Loomis, man. See,
like the money.
Lupus
company.
is a disease, right?
Lupus, yeah,
lupus,
yes, it is.
Definitely, yeah. Not named Lupus. I don't know why character names just. I cannot.
They evade the.
I cannot for whatever reason, but. Good old
that's all
Loomis.
Good. That's all good.
For the classical voice here. At least he gave me some lines. But
well, then I'll do the plugs real quick. We'll rate this thing, and then I will tell y'all what we've got coming up across the board. All the stuff we're doing. But yeah, if you would head to Twitter, follow at Cinementalists, same as it is titled in the name of this podcast. You can follow us there, get any updates on what we might be doing. You can leave a 5-star rate and review and download wherever you might be listening. Subscribe, like, watch anywhere. YouTube, we're available. You can look up the Cinementalists. You can find us there. Let's see. We're an offshoot of the Penny Bloom podcast. We're very close to starting season 2 of Cinema Surprise, and I will get to that a little bit later. I think this is when I'm going to reveal to Joe officially what the first Cinema Surprise of Season 2 will be. And that's important because it ties into Cinementalists eventually. I'm going to go on a whole thing. So, Penny Bloom, at Penny Bloom Pod is the great overarching Twitter to be on if you want to know more about what's going on specifically. You can follow me on Twitter at @Coro_Bloom or on Letterboxd at Colton Robertson. You might get a little bit of a spoiler for anything we might be covering. We often do stuff far, far in advance. So I have a little tagline on Letterboxd that's Cinementalists, and if you click on that, at the date we're on as of release, there's probably so much more under that tab than what's going on at the time of recording. So check all that out. Penny Bloom. That's our mainstay. We're also doing Fulcrum, a Star Wars podcast. We've just wrapped up season 2 of Rebels. Actually, yesterday we should have, and we're looking forward to Skeleton Crew in November, so you can check that out. Yeah, let's rate this thing. How are you feeling about Halloween on a scale of 1 to 10?
All right. I did like this one. Was a nice easy 5 in the letterbox. It was pretty quick. It felt it had that classic feel. I was watching the classic, or I knew I was watching a classic while I was watching, and surprisingly, I think I liked The Exorcist more overall. Which is
I think it's a better movie,
better made. I think I might enjoy Halloween more. So
yeah, it's the same as Evil Dead. You know, it'll be easier to revisit this than Exorcist, but all in all, I couldn't tell you I like it more than that movie. I think that The Exorcist just has a little bit more going for it. But I would fall barely short of it, you know,
not
9.
We gave
9.5, 9.5.
That's Evil Dead. At least I gave Evil Dead a 9. You gave Evil Dead a 9.5. We both gave Exorcist a 9.75. So, I mean, I wasn't far behind The Exorcist. That's for sure. I was up at the 9.5.
But you are ahead of Evil Dead, though.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think I would. Is it closer to Evil Dead or closer to The Exorcist? As far enjoyment, I'd rather come to Halloween or Evil Dead first out of the 3. How well it's made. I mean, The Exorcist is probably just it's the best made movie on here. I think I'll give it the bump. I feel like it's not visually pretty, but the camera is still used in a way.
It's a pretty. I mean, I still think it's a pretty movie. The shot of the shot of the dude being pinned against the wall and the light pouring in through the door and the silhouettes against it, like the use of shadows whenever he walks past the shuttered closet and he walks straight up to it and it gets real scary and he punches through. Like there's a really ominousness to the way the camera's used that I appreciate a great deal.
Yeah, I'm at a 9.5. I think I'm closer to The Exorcist than Evil Dead for me.
I think this will be one of the first times we have to do a little fancy math. I think I'm gonna go 9.25.
Okay.
I like Evil Dead more than this. On a personal note.
Let's see what the math will do. Here, do a little. This is just an average. No 2 times here, I guess. It is a 9.37 or 9.38. So like a 94. If we want to go there. So would be number 2. It would overall would be number 2. Exorcist was at the top, 9.75. Evil Dead was 9.25. And then Night of the Living Dead was an 8.5. I guess I don't know what we I think Psycho do you remember what we landed on? That was before
I couldn't tell you.
I made the sheet all pretty.
Gotcha. But, we'll have to listen back and find out. But I'm confident it might have been a little bit north of Night of the Living Dead. I don't think we said we liked Night of the Living Dead less, but I think it might have been 8.75s across the board, if I recall correctly. Feels right. But
that sounds about right. But yeah, 94 here. That does feel right for me. I do like it is in between The Exorcist and Evil Dead for me. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, then all right. Then with that, I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all in on what we're doing the next few weeks. Not necessarily that it's been a secret or anything, but it's fun to talk about. So in November, on the Cinementalists, we are going to be discussing the Indiana Jones franchise. We're going to cover all 5 movies: Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and Dial of Destiny. That'll take us into December. And then to round out the year, we will be covering the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and we will be doing the theatrical cuts of the films, not the extended editions. So that'll be the last 3 weeks of 2024. Into 2025, we will be doing a fun project where we're going to divert away from covering 1 movie a week. In January, you can expect 2 episodes a week, Wednesday and Friday, or maybe even doubled up on Friday. I haven't decided, but you can expect 2 episodes a week in January where we will be doing our top 100 movies of the 20s so far. A little halftime heat check. We'll be just over the 5 years of the 20s, have 5 years remaining. Feels right. The limit is, 2020 through 2024. Top 100 movies of that era. We're going to do 10 episodes covering each set of 10 until the top 10 at the end of January. Sometime in January, towards the end of January, in fact, the official Oscar nominees for Best Picture and the Oscar nominees at large will be announced. So in February, ahead of the Oscars in March of 2025, we will be covering all 10 Best Picture nominees. That is our intention for February of 2025. And that's that's an important thing there, because on Penny Bloom podcast, we will be doing season 2 of Cinema Surprise starting November 13th. For those that don't know, Cinema Surprise is a fun thing that me and Joe do where every week we cover a seemingly random film where one of us does not know what we'll be covering the next week. We announce it to each other at the end of the preceding week. So first week is my pick. At the end of that episode, Joe will tell me what we're covering the next week. And then at the end of that episode, I will tell Joe what we're covering the next week. And we surprise each other. That's Cinema Surprise. And season 1 was 12 episodes. We each got 6 picks. There was no real theme. But in season 2, we have a pool of just over 600 movies. The 600 movies are every movie that has ever been nominated for Best Picture. Now, at November 13th, that brings us straight to the last Wednesday in January, right when we're about to cover the Best Picture nominees here. So it's a nice little brand synergy. We are doing Best Picture nominees there. We're doing Best Picture nominees right over here. After that, it's a perfect little balance of things. So with that, I will officially announce what on Penny Bloom podcast our first episode of Cinema Surprise will be on November 13th. This was extremely hard to narrow down.
Got a lot to
you got over 600 movies to pick from. We are ultimately picking 6 each. So literally 1% of the movies we got a choice. We got to pick. And I'm doing my best to spread around eras. I don't want to double down too hard in any given decade. I want to spread some love. But my first pick in Cinema Surprise Season 1 was Casablanca, a 40s movie. Also happens to be a Best Picture nominee and winner. So we've covered actually quite a few, I found. So our pool is less than 600, technically.
True.
But I decided to stick with a 40s film. I wanted to give you a chance to introduce yourself to some of the all-time greats. It is a movie starring Cary Grant, Jimmy Stewart, and Katharine Hepburn. Our first movie in Cinema Surprise Season 2 is The Philadelphia Story.
The Philadelphia Story. Okay, not The Experiment. Is that the... I don't know. I feel like I've heard of that. The Philadelphia. Is that in any way related?
Severely doubt it. I have no idea what that is.
I feel like I might even be remembering wrong on there. But okay, wow, 1940. Yeah, we are going back.
We're throwing back.
Okay. No, at least looking at it, it doesn't seem that I have seen anything. I don't know. It doesn't.
I don't know that you would have. I've never seen it. I'm starting with one that I have not seen.
Okay.
It's I'm excited to dig into it. It's directed by George Cukor, who I know for a fact I enjoy his movies. I love Jimmy Stewart. I love Cary Grant. I love Katharine Hepburn. And while I've never seen it, to be able to introduce you to all 3 of those performers at once is perfect. I felt like it was the perfect place to start. So Cinema Surprise Season 2 will kick off here in just a couple weeks on November 13th on the Penny Bloom podcast with The Philadelphia Story. And I'm very excited to get to that.
Okay. Wow. I'm glad that it'll be a first viewing for the both of us. Because and starting off, I don't know, maybe I'll I'll change it up and go super modern to bounce back. But I haven't even landed on mine yet. I've gotten some potential in there.
I've got a lot of options. And right now, what's funny is I have a pull to like a lot of older movies. Like, it was so funny when I was scrolling through all the nominees. One of the things, like, there's a Letterboxd list we were choosing from, right?
Mm-hmm.
I looked through it chronologically. I looked through it once, and then I organized it by highest average rating.
Ooh.
To see what the highest rated movies of the Best Picture nominees on Letterboxd are, which was a fun experiment. And as I was scrolling through, I found myself clicking and being like, okay, 40s movie, scroll, click, okay, 70s movie, okay, click, 40s movie, click, 70s, Jesus Christ. Okay, so like all the ones that were like really intriguing to me were like from that era, so it was really hard for me to, or from those eras, it was really hard for me to spread love.
Okay.
But so I figured I'd start with the 40s, get it out of the way, and we're going to start with the Philadelphia Story. And a little lighter tone as far as I can recall. I'm pretty sure it's a romantic comedy of sorts. And I think that's just a fun, light way to start season 2. And like I said, just 3 of the greatest actors of all time. And I don't think you've seen any of them in anything. So it'll be I feel like it's a perfect way to introduce you to 3 of my favorites ever. And it'll be fresh for me. I'm very excited for it. So, yep. Like I said, Philadelphia Story, November 13th on the Penny Bloom podcast on Cinema Surprise. You need to be there. But with that, we will conclude this episode of the Cinementalists, and we will be back next Friday with Raiders of the Lost Ark, where we will be joined by our friend Kyler Barnett, a longtime friend of the pod. And we love him, so I'm excited for him to come on and talk indie with us. One of my favorite franchises ever. So come on back for Indiana Jones for the next month. You'll dig it. But with that, I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, you can't kill the boogeyman.